Most salespeople aren't broke because they can't close, but they're broke because they have no one to close. Look, when I first got into sales, I was the same way. I was thinking my dealership, my organization needs to give me every single lead possible because I'm working for them. Why wouldn't they? But I quickly realized if I wanted to be able to create my own income and really have financial freedom, I had to learn to lead generate and prospect myself. So if you're in sales and you want to be able to prospect and generate your own leads like a pro, I want you to stick around for these 4 tips that are going to show you how to take your prospecting game to another level. All right, check this out. Prospecting and outreach sales is going to be huge, and it's going to change your entire freaking sales game. Why? Because when you can generate your income based on what you do, you know that you're going to be forever wealthy. Also, who really wants to rely on their sales org to make sure they get paid? That's like playing the damn lottery with your family's freaking paycheck. So let's cover the top 4 steps and tricks that you can use to increase how you're prospecting and actually have a measurable plan and not just out there making random phone calls, shaking random hands. So the first one is you've got to have the right mindset. So many sales pros that I talk to think prospecting's like the punishment game. Like it's supposed to kick your freaking butt and it's supposed to be horrible for you and you're not getting any of the good leads, right? A high-level salesperson does not believe that way. They know prospecting is the key to wealth, and they're always doing it. There's 3 things you got to be doing in sales. 1, you got to be selling a client, running a proposal, going over everything, whatever it is. You got to be actively selling, you got to be actively prospecting, or you got to get better at one of those other 2 skills. Honestly, if you're doing anything else while you're away from your family, it's kind of like cheating on them. So don't go into the office, don't go into the business and cheat on your dang family because you want to talk about the Raiders all day. So make sure that you eliminate prospecting being any sort of punishment. If you have to, gamify it a little bit. Make it a little bit more fun. Reward yourself. Even if it's you versus you, maybe you do a little bit better. So heck, you can eat a piece of cheesecake or something that night. That's my go-to, is a little bit of cheesecake. So make sure that you don't treat it as a punishment and you have some fun with it. And then really just a little thing that I want you to write down and put in your mind is you can't be waiting for leads to come your way. You can't be waiting for the sale to like show up in front of you. Like you've got to be able to go out there into the world and really manufacture sales yourself. So make it fun and manufacture sales. Number 2, you've got to have framework. So write down framework. You've got to have framework for whatever your prospecting activities are. That's going to differ depending on what organization you're in. For a lot of us, it might be phone calls. For some of us, it might be doors knocked. For others, that maybe you're more retail and people are coming into your location, it just might be how many people you talk to throughout the day. So what I want you to do is start tracking, and you're gonna have to do this for 30 to 60 days to actually get some data, but start tracking your calls, emails, social touches, doors knocked. Like at a minimum, start tracking those high-level activities that lead to a sale because you need to understand it. You also have to be able to give yourself something to measure so you can compare it. For example, you might do 40 calls a day, send 30 emails a day, and make sure you do 50 touches a day, right? And that's gonna give you an entire week, an entire month of work. Now, after you get that entire month of data, you'll then be able to analyze it. 1 or 2 days won't work. You might have a fluke, you might have a really bad day, a really good day, got lucky, whatever it is. Let's do some easy math here. You're in high ticket sales, and this is gonna be a little bit crazy because these numbers aren't gonna be that dang realistic. Let's say your goal is 10 calls a day, and over the course of that month, you sold 3 big ticket items, right? So that means over the course of that month, 10 calls a day, let's say 30 days in a month, you probably made about 300 calls, or maybe this is contacts, 300 people that you contacted, and you got 3 big closes out of it. You can now take that, knowing those numbers, and say, hey, it's gonna ballpark me take about 100 contacts per 1 deal. Now let's say next month you want 5. What do you gotta do? You gotta freaking do 500. So you're able to plan your life a little bit better. You're able to actually have an actionable track plan, and you're always doing cold outreach. You're always bringing in new prospects. So make sure you're tracking your calls, emails, and socials. There's also a huge thing, and I'm gonna get to it in a second. It's called discipline. Discipline is gonna fall into this. So let's go actually right to that. So step 3, or part 3, execution and tracking. So once you kind of figure out your framework, what you're going to do, the work you're going to put in, then you actually have to do the dang work. You have to actually execute. You actually have to take action, and you need to figure out what it goes to. So maybe I'm tracking calls, right? Well, on top of calls, how many dials I'm going to make, I need to figure out how many people I need to connect with. And out of those people I connect with, I need to figure out how many appointments I set, and so on and so forth. How many appointments turn into a sale, and just keep going with it. You can, after a month or two, you can actually figure out what action it takes to get what results that you want. And when you have those, all you do is say, hey, I want to make X amount of money. And then there's one of two ways to do it. One, am I willing to do the work? Am I willing and able to make X amount of calls to get X results that I want? Or do I need to go back a little bit, refine my game, get a little bit better at my skill, maybe work on some objections or framing or presentations, and become a lot more productive? But it'll give you information that you can actually measure. And that's where a lot of sales pros stop, is they don't have measurable KPIs, and they always stay in that amateur game. They never actually get to the real professional game of, being a top 1% or even 5%er. I mean, imagine making $250,000 a year. Most of the people, if not all the people I know that have broken the $250,000 mark, know their freaking numbers. And they actually hit them. Because every single day, what's going to separate those of us that, show up at the office and, put a little commission up and make little baby numbers is going to be discipline versus motivation. Motivation is great, right? You need it. You freaking have it basically 24/7. You're either motivated to stay in the bed at 5 a.m. when the alarm goes off, or you're motivated to go out and do the shit you said you were going to do. Discipline will trump motivation every single time. Why? Because discipline's knowing is doing what you know needs to be done even when you don't freaking feel like it. So when you've got to make 50 calls a day and, it's been a crap day, people aren't picking up, people are hanging up on you, you've got to have discipline to keep going. Or maybe you had a rough week. Just one of those flukes where nothing was connecting, you were throwing stuff up on a wall and it wasn't hitting. What do you do next week? Do you change up your entire freaking game plan because that one week went bad? Or you went, hey, making these 100 calls isn't getting me anything, so I've got to go back to what I was doing of not getting any dang results. Stay freaking disciplined. So the other part is, I just wrote this little quote down, don't know who I stole it from, but your pipeline shows your standards. Every salesperson I work with, if they've got a consistent pipeline, if they always have someone to talk to, it's going to show their standards. And I know that because I've been on both sides before. I've been in a place where my pipeline is full, where all of a sudden the organization has a little bit of a rough month. My numbers stay the same because I've constantly got stuff going into the pipeline. And then I've also been the person that's had a really good month or a really good quarter. Maybe I quit prospecting a little bit and all of a sudden Q2 hits and I'm like, oh crap, I've got nothing to do. And then I've got to go 5 times as hard to be able to get back up real quick. And there's usually a little dip in income and a dip in sales because your pipeline's not staying full. So part 4 is just common mistakes. So this video is set out to give you the information that you need to be able to take action and be able to implement a game plan that creates you more wealth in your sales game. You've got to go a little deeper than this video though. Don't stop here. But let me save you a few mistakes that the common salesperson makes, or that we've all made once or twice. So don't treat everybody that you talk to like it's a one-day sprint. Now, if you're in automotive, for example, one of those faster paced sales game, and someone comes on the lot, that's a one-day sale. You better get that crap. And if you don't though, you better follow up and keep them going. However, for a lot of times, most people don't buy until about the 5th contact. So maybe it's a real estate transaction. You're trying to get a listing agreement, or you're trying to get the appointment to go try to set in a listing agreement. It might take 2 or 3 calls to be able to confirm that. So don't treat everybody like it's a one-day sprint. The next thing is, a lot of salespeople, especially while they're prospecting, are really comfortable about talking about themselves. Why? Because we know us. However, talking about yourself can often ruin a sale because you've got to be focused on the client. You're trying to help them, not help you. Now, is it okay to relate and connect with the client? Absolutely. You could share a story or two, but don't make the whole conversation about you, because it's got to be about them, their family, their needs, their pain, whatever you're trying to solve. It's really got to be about them. I said this one a second ago. A lot of salespeople, sales amateurs, don't do any follow-up. It's crazy how many freaking deals I've helped people close by just telling someone to send a dang video to the customer or send a little handwritten letter. Like, sometimes it's the easiest things, but you don't follow up. Why? because there was that one client that was really, really big and he was gonna make your entire month, and you tried following up and he ghosted you. So then you relate all your other deals to that one person. Follow up with everybody. I've had people that I've closed after 6 months to a year literally tell me, hey dude, the only reason I even want to have this conversation is because your follow-up is on point. I'm gonna send a selfie video. I'm gonna send random texts. I'm gonna send GIFs. I'm gonna send memes. I'm gonna basically stereotype you on how old you are, what I think you like. Heck, I might even stalk your Facebook a little bit to see what you're into. And then I'm gonna send you like a meme based on that information. Just goofy things like that to get in front of people. And it's not like, hey, will you buy my stuff? Will you buy my stuff? How about now? How about now? Sometimes it's just saying hi. Sometimes it's just sending something stupid, see if they can get them to laugh. So make sure you work your follow-up game. Make sure you get creative with your follow-up game and have a lot of fun with it. And then this one is huge. This one is huge. Not documenting or recording like your sales or your follow-up activity or your initial contact. Like, so many people go out there and they're just out there talking to people, making phone calls, but there's no information in the CRM. If you're doing any amount of reasonable work, you can't remember that many stories, you can't remember that many birthdays, that many families. So you need to make sure that you're writing it out in the CRM. So when you do your follow-up, you actually have a reason to call them and you're not asking them the same questions over and over and over again, because I promise you that will kill any sale. If you like this video and you would like some free information on how to handle any objection that comes your way, I want you to text prospecting to 503-830-9773, and I'm going to text you a PDF with over 100 objection handlers that you can use in any industry.